I was so happy to hear that other people who've experienced this, instead of just moping around and just getting sadder and sadder by the day, they decided to instead think about other people instead of themselves, and that was just huge, you know?
Hi everyone, I'm Mark Mulholland. Welcome to The Upbeat, a podcast about hope and perseverance. We're so glad you downloaded this episode because it's sure to touch your heart. My guests today are Sonia Miller and her son Etienne of Albany, New York. First, we're going to talk to Etienne. Etienne, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here.
You're in 8th grade, right?
Yes.
What subjects do you like best in school?
Technology.
What do you like about it?
I like using my hands, and I like the programming, and I love how it's a new thing.
What do you like to do for fun?
I like to play for video games, hang out in my room, and just pet my dog.
And you're musically inclined as well, is that right?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I play the trombone, and I've been learning a bit about the bass.
How did you come about playing music?
Well, my dad was very big into music, and so naturally I kind of ended up steering into that direction too.
Tell me a little bit more about your dad.
My dad was a guitarist. He did concerts, and he was also a teacher at a Catholic school, a Catholic all-girls high school, and he was really close to all those students. Really good guy.
What did he teach?
Actually, I'm not sure.
But he was a teacher for...
He was a teacher.
Many years.
Yes.
And his first name was Sebastian, correct? And you sort of are now playing music as well. It's because of him? Did he play at home at all? Did he?
Yeah, you'd think I'd play the guitar seeing as he's a guitarist, but I ended up just seeing a brass instrument thinking, oh, this isn't so bad.
When did you lose your dad, Etienne?
July 28th, 2021.
July 28th, 2021. So it was in the middle of a pandemic, too.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Bit sad, but okay.
Have you gotten any help from anyone? Is there anyone you can talk to about it?
Yeah, I talked to my mom all the way. Like, sometimes I'd come in, have a sad day, and then I would start thinking about my dad. I'd get sad. And then there were friends, and of course these were the friends that I've known for years, and family too. They're really not, they're what got me through this.
Friends and family?
Yeah.
You said your dad played guitar. What kinds of music?
Well, it was really just country. He was really big on country. He enjoyed all genres, honestly.
So it's been roughly 9 months since he passed?
Yeah.
And does it get any easier as time passes?
Well, if you want the whole long story.
I do, sure, yes, I do.
At first, it was difficult. When I first heard about it, I was in another country, and it wasn't that long ago that I just left. And so when I heard about it, I kind of just really broke down. Then I slowly started to get better, but I had those moments where I would just crash. And so then I kind of slowly built my way back up, and I talked to my mom about things, and she got me a counselor. And so things got a bit better, and I decided I didn't need the counselor anymore. And so now I'm here doing a lot better, but still not as great as I was before.
Etienne, I'm guessing you're a very good student. Are you a good student?
Yeah, I think so.
Because you're wise beyond your years. And for you to be able to sit here at 14 and talk to me about some things that are very difficult is impressive, and you come across as a person wise beyond your years. I lost my children, or my children lost their mother, I should say. And I always thought that the loss of a parent requires a child to grow up faster than they should have to. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
How so?
When you lose your parent, it's just destroys you for a while. You regret a lot of things, like not being able to spend enough time with them and not being able to be there, especially when you won't be there to see them off, to wherever.
So you couldn't be with him?
I wasn't there in the hospital. I wish I was. That's my single regret.
But you realize that's not your That's not your fault. That's not something
Yeah.
that you could have done differently, right?
You know, I mean, I didn't know when he was gonna die, but it still hurts.
What did you love most about your dad?
He made some really funny puns sometimes. He had puns, and he was a funny guy. He always wanted to go outside. He always wanted to hang out, and I loved to. It was so much fun.
Puns. I'm a pun guy. I like puns. Can you think of any? Can you think of any off the top of your head that he may have shared, or was it a spur of the moment type thing?
It's just for a moment, yeah.
Are you a punster too? Do you like an occasional pun?
Not so much, but whenever the things pop up, you know.
As you probably know, Kelly's Angels helps children and their families in this area, in the capital region of New York, who've been affected by life-threatening conditions, cancer, or other illnesses. And we provide grants to kids and their families, hoping to bring smiles to their faces. And I think we provided a fun grant to you, right? Tell me about that.
That was, when I first heard about it, I was just shocked and so happy. And all the whilst I was really sad. And when I heard about it, actually, I was just coming back from school, had a good day, and then I just started breaking down in tears, and I just started crying.
Well, that's not what we want. We don't want you to cry, Etienne.
Yeah.
Were they tears of sadness or?
A bit of sadness and joy. I was so happy to hear that other people who've experienced this, instead of just moping around and just getting sadder and sadder by the day, they decided to instead think about other people instead of themselves, and that was just huge, you know? I was shocked that people like that existed in this world. I thought they were all really mean and scary.
Well, that's refreshing for us to hear that you now realize that there are people out there who care, because Kelly's Angels is an organization which does care, and we were happy to help. Tell me, did you go somewhere? Did you do something? What'd you do?
I used the money, and what I was supposed to do was go get a new trombone at first, and I was also told I could use it for ice fishing. And so, of course, I wanted to do that. And then my mom, Sonia, she came up with the greatest idea. Why not invite some friends? And we would take pictures, and we'd show our experiences in the fishes we caught. And that's exactly what happened. It was so much fun.
I'm so happy. Had you been ice fishing before?
No, that was my first time.
And where'd you go?
It was...
Was it in Lake Placid? Or
Lake Placid, yes.
Lake Placid, New York, upstate New York. And you caught some fish?
Yeah, they were all really small, but it was still big, you know. I never thought I would ever go ice fishing.
Was it cold?
It was cold. Really cold.
So you were born in Ethiopia, correct?
Yeah.
There's no ice fishing in Ethiopia, I'm guessing, right? I mean,
Pretty sure, but I never spent a lot of my life there, you know?
no?
No, but I think I was still born there, so.
I think we're going to take a break now to thank our underwriters. When we come back, I think we'll have your mom join us and chat for a little bit. Does that sound good with you?
Sounds great.
All right, we'll be right back.
Okay.
Support for Kelly's Angels comes from the students and faculty at South Glens Falls High School in upstate New York who hold a 24-hour marathon dance each year to benefit local charities. Kelly's Angels is proud to be among the beneficiaries of the 2022 South High Marathon Dance. We are grateful for their generosity and kindness. Support also comes from Stewart's Shops, an employee and family-owned convenience store chain serving eastern upstate New York and southwestern Vermont. And from Noble Ace Hardware in South Glens Falls, New York, which offers competitive pricing and high-quality products for just about anything you need. For more than 30 years, the team at Noble Ace has delivered on its promise to be the most helpful hardware store in town by providing excellent customer service that exceeds expectations and reflects family values during each and every visit. Now back to my dad's interview.
Welcome back to the Upbeat Podcast. I'm talking with Sonia Miller from Albany and her son, Etienne. Sonia and Etienne are now part of the Kelly's Angels community. And for our listeners who are not familiar with Kelly's Angels, it's a charity that we founded in 2010 in memory of my wife, Kelly, who passed away from breast cancer at age 37 when our two children, Connor and McKenna, were just 7 and 5 years old. Sonia, Etienne very eloquently told us about Sebastian. Mm-hmm. What would you like people to know about Sebastian, your husband?
Well, first of all, to fill in one of the blanks, he was a French teacher.
French teacher.
And from France. And loved the United States. So we met here in college because he was an international student. He wanted to come to America, wanted to learn English, and one of the most impressive things about him probably was his mastery of the English language. So he taught English in France, and then once we were here, he taught French here.
So his mastery of the English language was passed down to Etienne. For a 14-year-old, he's incredibly eloquent.
That's right.
So you got that from your dad, as well as having some musical inclination as well.
Yeah.
Do you mind talking about his illness and his passing?
Well, it was a big shock. It was pancreatic cancer, and just like we often hear, by the time you have any symptoms, you're in an advanced stage. So it seemed like one day he was complaining about not feeling well, and then over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, he declined so rapidly, and it almost seemed like he had very little time, then. But it was 9 months, though, before he actually passed. So the good thing was that he was repatriated back to France, and he got excellent care, and he ended up being with us 9 more months. But it was brutal. It was a big shock to everyone.
And it's difficult.
He was 53 years old.
53. And it's difficult for you. You are keeping a stiff upper lip for your son. Mm-hmm. We've often talked about this on this podcast, and with our organization, we try to help surviving spouses as well, because you are grieving and you're still raising a teenager. How have you coped?
My focus has been a lot on Etienne.
Yes.
Etienne. Now, his father and I were separated before he passed, but we had known each other for 33 years. And we separated after 27 years. But, of course, raising a child together, remained close. We lived in the same neighborhood. We spoke every day. And so I also did grief counseling. That's how I got through. I took time for myself, and then I was able to be there for Etienne and try to be as attentive to his needs as possible. Got a lot of good advice from the hospice counselors.
And you're a psychologist by training as well,
That's right.
Has that helped you, or is it even more difficult? Do people have higher expectations of someone who is a professional psychologist?
I think around me, people have higher expectations, but when you're doing counseling, they know to drop all of that. You're just another person, and you need advice just as much as anyone else. But being a psychologist, of course, did help me because I knew where to go. And
often people don't know where to turn.
That's right.
How has it changed how has the loss of Sebastian changed your perspective? I'm sure it's changed your perspective on parenting, because you don't have someone else now to bounce things
That's
off.
right.
But how else?
I immediately wanted to take better care of myself. I wanted to make sure that I paid attention to my health, my daily habits.
And that's common from
Our
what I've learned.
vices.
Yes, because
That's right.
you want to make sure
Exactly.
that you're there for
That's
18.
right. That's right. I thought about a lot of things that he didn't have a chance to put in place, and I wanted to make sure my life insurance policies were up to date. I wanted to think about, what if I'm no longer here? What does that look like for him? So there was a lot of discussion, and I have a big support group, and we had an open conversation as well. What if, right? And he has a godmother, and he said, yeah, I would want to go and live with my godmother and my godbrother. And so it just opened up a lot of discussion that ended up being very healthy for us to think about future. And then I just I just wanted to let everyone around me and our friends from college to know, live for today, you know, be happy for what you have, be grateful, show gratitude.
Don't take it for
Don't
granted.
take anything for granted. And everybody's response was that way as well because, I'm 55 now, but we consider ourselves very young.
Sure,
So to think about, dying at this age is just unfathomable.
Yeah. Etienne told us about the fund grant and his activities in Lake Placid, ice fishing. How did you react when you received a letter from us? Did you have a particular reaction when you received a letter notifying you that we wanted to do something nice for you?
Flabbergasted. Yeah. And I think the first thing that I said to, one of my friends was, look at what can happen in the universe, right? And I just thought that it showed incredible support, and I knew that he would be very touched. And but I was surprised. I mean, it was a pleasant surprise, but it was a shot in the dark for me. I'd heard about it on the radio, so I said, well, let me right away and say, what happened and see what happens. And then a couple of months later, that's when the letter came. So that was jaw-dropping.
We are more than honored to provide a little support for you guys. How important is it, do you think? And I'm asking you this, I guess, as both a parent and as a psychologist. How important is it to have a child, to give a child the ability to smile in the midst of unfathomable grief?
Scale of 1 to 10, 100. And that's exactly what it did as well, because it showed that there were people that were out there that knew how this was for him and that there's support available. It showed him something nice about humanity.
That's terrific. Do you have ways that you are planning to keep Sebastian's memory alive? Do you have little rituals? Do you have...
Well,
Music.
Music, that's for sure. And
It's definitely music.
yeah, definitely music. Keeping up the French as well. And, just
family.
keeping all the photos and, just very visible, letting that presence be there all the time. And yes, family.
I understand you both are planning to participate in our run walk on Mother's Day. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
I'd be grateful if you could make it. I understand if you can't, but
With pleasure.
I would be grateful. Those sorts of events, and I asked Etienne about this, whether he had other friends who were going through or people he met in grief counseling through hospice. But what we found at events such as this, that it's a community spirit in that everyone has suffered a loss in some way. And we try to point that out, that it's a fun celebration, but we point out that this is a community, and many of us have suffered from similar circumstances. It doesn't feel like that when you're going through it and as you're feeling the depths of despair, but I want you guys to know that if you go there, I think you'll end up feeling pretty good at the end of the day.
Nice.
Because we've tried to make it a celebration. So you guys are planning to participate, and that's on Mother's Day morning in the Saratoga Spa State Park. Is there anything either of you would like to add about both the difficulty that you've had to deal with related to Sebastian's passing and how you've been able to keep it on the rails?
You know what? Well, at my school, we do this. There's some kids who are really annoying, right? But for jokes, they say things and it seems hurtful. Really, it isn't, and it's just a joke after all. They never expect it to be real, and I didn't really just come out to my entire classroom and say, "Hey, my dad passed not too long ago." So they would always joke around, right? And they would joke around and they would say something stupid because I'm adopted, so they would say something about my dad, right? And then each time they said that about my dad, I never actually thought about the other one. I thought about the one that I known for 14 years. And so that was always really hard.
I bet it was hard. I bet it was hard, and that's to my point about having to grow up faster than you should. That's a very adult thing you have to realize. Well, Etienne, you're inspiring. You should be proud of yourself. I wish I could do something more to ease your burden, but I appreciate you spending time with us and chatting with us. We'll see you at the Mother Lovin' 5K, and I hope that everyone listening will go to kellysangelsinc.org to register. It's $30, and that price includes a commemorative race shirt, and most importantly, all proceeds benefit Kelly's Angels. I'm Mark Mulholland. Until next time, stay on The Upbeat.
If you enjoy The Upbeat, please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have topics you'd like us to cover on The Upbeat, please send your ideas to theupbeatpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. On behalf of the volunteer board of Kelly's Angels and the families we help who are facing life-threatening conditions, thank you for listening to The Upbeat.
Nice job, McKenna Rose.
Thanks, Dad. You too.